Have you been trying a ketogenic diet of any kind, a carnivore diet maybe, to lose weight and to improve your metabolic health? And have you found that it didn't work? Or are you doing it and finding that you're not sure if it's actually working? In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the roadblocks that will stop it from working, or at least make it not work as well as it should. And watch this video to see if any of these issues are issues that may be impeding your progress. Of course, you may even have more than one of them, because there are things we do without realizing that will affect how well this nutrition actually works. Welcome to Shapefixer. I'm Andrew. I am a nutritionist. I am a very, very strong proponent of a low sugar, low carb diet, specifically a carnivore diet. I do believe that that is the best option, and you will lose weight, you will reverse a lot of metabolic diseases, you will be able to limit your medication, if not go off your medication altogether. You stand the best chance of reversing things like fatty liver disease and type 2 diabetes, and lowering your risk of heart attack and autoimmune issues and Alzheimer's and various cancers. It makes a lot of sense, and the chemistry, the biochemistry, the research is there, the data is there to understand why this type of eating actually works. So if you have tried it, or you're trying it and you're finding the progress slow, or you believe it's not working, or you know somebody who says they did it and it didn't work, here are the issues that could be in your way. And stand by to the end, because after I've gone through the mistakes we tend to make on our diet, there are other things that can also affect us. It isn't just nutrition. You can't fix everything with nutrition. There are a few other things we need to address as well. Okay, so as I said, you're all very welcome here. What is the first thing on my list that gets in the way of making us feel better and operate better and have more energy on a carnivore or other type of ketogenic diet? And one is just plain not eating enough. If you are on a carnivore diet, once you are adapted to the diet and you're used to the diet and your hormones work properly, okay, your eating hormones and the hormones that control your eating and tell you when not to eat, you need to listen to them. You need to listen to your body, and you need to eat when you are hungry. A very common mistake that I see in this channel and also in my practice with clients is that they believe so strongly in the notion or the concept of intermittent fasting, which I do too. It's a very, very powerful mechanism, but people misunderstand it, and they think intermittent fasting means some kind of self-torture, starving yourself, not eating even though you're hungry, resisting the urge to eat. That is not how fasting works. Fasting means don't eat until you're hungry. And as you get healthier and your hormones work better because you're on the right diet, you won't want to eat. I don't eat anything in the day until about 2:30 in the afternoon, because I'm just not interested. I'm not hungry. My energy levels are fine. I operate absolutely fine. I can work. I can go out and train on my bicycle. I can do 5-hour bike ride. I don't need breakfast. So I'm intermittent fasting in that I'm drawing out the period of time between my dinner and the first meal of the next day, but I'm doing it based on my feelings of hunger or no feelings of hunger. So intermittent fasting isn't something you force yourself to do. If you're forcing yourself to do it and you're finding it difficult because you're hungry and you're looking at your watch and go, oh, I'm desperate to eat, but I need to go another 2 hours before I can eat, you're starving. You are going to have low energy levels and you're not going to feel well. So intermittent fasting has got to be something that comes naturally. All right, don't eat when you're not hungry, but if you are hungry, eat. What's important is what you eat. Don't go and have a sandwich. You don't need all that glucose in the bread. Okay, so that's the first mistake. We just don't eat enough because we think we need to be fasting. Another mistake that we can make is that we think we're on the right track. We think we're eating all the right things, But there are still things in our diet that we haven't thought about or that we overlook that are interfering with the process, specifically if they have sugars in them. So you might be eating a really, really low carb diet and not getting any sugar, but what are you drinking? Fruit juice, which is absolutely loaded with sugar, or some other kind of soda or processed drink. So be careful of your drinks. Make sure you're not drinking anything that's got sugar in it. And look at what you're putting on your food if you are still using a garnish or a sauce or something, because these sauces are often made with really toxic seed oils and have sugar added to them for taste, because they're processed. Okay, so if you're using ketchup or any kind of sauce, pre-prepared, processed, that's a lot of P's, sauces from the grocery store, it's probably going to contain chemicals that are going to interrupt your or impact negatively on your progress on your carnivore diet or on your low sugar diet. So be very aware of what you're eating with your food. Okay, number 3, hydration is a big thing. And hydration doesn't just mean water. Just drinking water by itself, hell, I mean, that's not a bad thing, obviously, but what can happen is that your electrolytes get quite low, your salts in your body, and when you drink straight water all the time, especially if you're in a hot place, you sweat a lot, or you do get a lot of exercise, and you replenish your water, and you're not replenishing your salts and your electrolytes, that will result in an electrolyte imbalance that can have all sorts of negative effects, including fatigue. So you may just be exhausted because you're not getting enough salt. So make sure you're not afraid of salt. Put salt on your food. We've done videos on salt before. Salt is very misunderstood and misrepresented. It will not push your blood pressure up. There is links to videos below here in the notes about salt if you want to know a little bit more about salt and electrolytes. Generally, electrolytes are salts. Okay, number 4, dairy. For some of us, dairy is fine. For others, it is not. A lot of people are lactose intolerant and will have upset stomach and issues with the lactose, which is a type of sugar in dairy. So if you are eating dairy, or you've got to be careful not to have too much, because you're going to take in a lot of sugar and you don't want the sugar, and you may even be intolerant to it, so you've got that as well. But even if you're not lactose intolerant, if you have too much dairy and you're drinking a lot of milk, for example, you are getting a lot of sugar, so you're going back to square one. The sugar is boosting your insulin, it's interfering with your fat burning, and the whole process is being compromised by this dairy. Butter, certain cheeses, cream, that's fine. They don't really have much sugar in them. Milk, liquid milk, bad idea. Skimmed milk or low-fat milk is a disaster, because that is just sugar water. Okay, so try and limit the dairy if you aren't feeling great, and you may find that that actually makes you feel a little bit better. Now, the big one, fat. Are you eating enough fat? Because when you go on a carnivore diet or other kind of ketogenic diet and you're cutting down your sugars, you really need to ramp up your fat intake, because your body relies on fat as its main energy source. And that is how we were adapted, designed, evolved. We're supposed to do that. Plants use sugar, animals use fat. We've talked about that many times before on this channel. So if you are going to cut the sugars out because they're inflammatory and they cause heart disease, and the sugars does damage into your blood cells and your artery walls and leads to diabetes and fatty liver disease and all those other great things, you don't want sugar in your diet. You have to eat fat, because otherwise you're just going to be exhausted all the time. And a lot of people think that a low sugar diet is a high protein diet. It isn't. Your protein intake may have been absolutely fine before. The problem was the sugar. You cut the sugar, you increase the fat. So if you're not getting enough fat, you're going to be tired all the time, even on a carnivore diet. The other issue with not having enough fat is that if you're eating protein that is very lean, chicken tends to be very lean, but you can get very lean cuts of red meat as well. If you're not eating enough fat with your protein, then the high protein concentration causes your body to increase insulin in your bloodstream, the same way sugar does. Now, not to the same extent, it's about half the effect, but it's still significant. So if you're having protein powders, for example, like bodybuilders tend to do, that is an absolute disaster because there's no fat with that. So all that protein is going to spike your insulin. Again, restrict your fat burning. Insulin is a fat storage hormone, so you're going to struggle to lose weight, and you're not going to have the energy you need because you've already cut the sugar, which is a good thing, but now you're not replacing it with any other fuel, and you need the fat. Okay, fat will not make you fat. I promise you it will not. Your body will absorb as much fat as it needs from your diet, so long as you give it enough, and the rest will go through you because you won't have enough bile to dissolve the fat in your gut. So your body has its own limiting system built in to stop you over consuming fat. Whereas sugar, the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want. That spirals out of control very, very quickly. So low fat restricts your energy supply that's available, and indirectly, because it's now high protein, low fat, boosts your insulin and can sabotage the entire process of trying to adapt your metabolism. So it's very, very important that you eat enough fat. Now, there's another aspect here that isn't strictly on your diet, but it could be impacting on how your diet works, and that is medication. If you are on this diet to try and reverse metabolic disease, understand that it takes time, and you may be on medication, or you may have been on medication for many years in some cases. And you can't just stop the medications. You need to be healthy enough to start limiting the medications. So now you're on this diet, you're adapting your body, you're trying to become healthier, but you're still on medication for your metabolic illnesses, and those medications have side effects. So if you're on a statin, for example, for heart disease, now you're trying to eat right to lower your risk of heart disease and to clean out your arteries and to lower the levels of plaque in your blood vessels, but you're on a statin. One of the side effects of a statin is weight gain. So now you're on this diet and you're not losing weight, and you think, well, this diet doesn't work. But the statins keep you fat. So it does take time, and you have to be patient, and you have to work in increments, getting your diet better, and with your doctor, getting him or her to agree to reduce your medication as you get a little bit better and a little bit better. And this brings me very perfectly to the next point, which is time. You may have been eating badly for 40 or 50 or 60 years. You've done a massive amount of long-term damage to your system, to your body, to your metabolism, and now you've changed your diet, and after 7 weeks you've decided it didn't work. You can't fix 50 years of bad diet with 7 weeks of good diet. It's going to take time. Now, you might see some things improving. That's all you need to see. Keep going, because another little thing will improve, and the next little thing will improve. Don't just look at it after 7 weeks and go, these are such small improvements, it's not enough. Of course it's not enough, because you haven't done it for long enough. It could take 3 months, 6 months, hell, it could take a year. It really does depend how long you've been eating badly, how sick you actually are, the extent of the damage, and how robust your body is at repairing itself, because some just respond more quickly than others. So you've just got to keep going. You've got to make sure it has enough time. Your diet will work if you can get past those things that I've just been speaking about. But you have to help your body respond to the diet by not smoking, by cutting out or cutting down as much as you can alcohol. Okay, tobacco and alcohol are two metabolic disasters waiting to happen that are going to seriously impact on the efficacy of this diet. You need to be getting exercise. Now, exercise does not mean going on boot camp. It doesn't mean that. It does not mean running a marathon. Hell, if that's what you do, then that's fantastic. That's great, of course. Any exercise, movement, just movement, weight bearing, walking up and down stairs, anything like that, as much as you can get. You need movement and exercise to stimulate your body to repair more quickly and to get all your systems going. So you need to be getting as much exercise as you possibly can. Even if you're in a wheelchair, there are exercises you can do. Stress is a big one, because cortisol, which is your stress hormone, also boosts fat storage and leads to mental health issues. And of course, sleep hygiene, which is a fancy way of saying looking after your sleep, getting enough sleep and getting the right quality of sleep. So sleep, stress, alcohol, smoking, and exercise, which are not diet, will impact on the progress that you make on the right diet. So really you need to look at these things holistically, which is what we do on this channel. So please subscribe to this channel, and there are hundreds of videos on this channel now. You could become a member of the channel. Click on the, have a look in the notes down the bottom here. You can also go to my website, shapefixer.com, and you can set up a call if you want, because I do online calls and help you and look at your blood tests and give you a little bit more guidance. That's all up to you. But a low sugar diet, specifically a carnivore diet, because we want ultimately to be avoiding plants, vegetables and fruit. Fruit is full of sugar. Vegetables are full of toxins and anti-nutrients. We've done lots of videos about those too. That is well documented, well researched. Those are just facts. And everything you need is in fatty meat and eggs and fish anyway. So it's not difficult, but there are little things along the way that could be tripping you up. I hope this video helped you. If you know somebody who's following this kind of diet or has been following this kind of diet and thinks it isn't working, please share this video with them, because they might find the key in this video to unlock the blockage that they are up against. And we want, of course, to help as many people as we can. And I want to help you as well. So thank you again for subscribing to this channel, and stick around. I'm making videos all the time. This is a journey. Come on this journey with us. Let's do this together. It's really not that hard.